Let's step into the middle of an East African dry season. When the rains fail to arrive, the ground hardens, water vanishes, and for many families, survival itself is on the line. Imagine two neighboring farmers. They own the exact same amount of land, they plant in the exact same soil, and they face the exact same brutal drought. Yet, while one farm is completely drying up, the other remains green and healthy. The struggling neighbor practices what we call subsistence farming. This means planting crops and hoping to grow just enough food to feed their immediate family, using basic hand tools like a hoe. For generations, this system worked. Families would grow a mix of maize and beans, keep a few local animals, and cook their own harvest right at home. But as populations have grown rapidly, families have had to divide their land among their children. Farms are split into smaller and smaller plots. When your land is tiny, a single unpredictable dry season can wipe out your entire food supply. Simply scattering seeds in the dirt and waiting for the rain to fall is no longer a reliable way to survive. So how is the neighboring farm surviving the dry season? They treat their small patch of land with a commercial mindset. This means they are growing crops specifically to sell for a profit. You might picture huge estates with heavy machinery when you hear the word commercial, but that isn't required. A farmer with just 2 acres can thrive by using a few simple scientific methods to beat the heat. This diagram shows a low-cost method called drip irrigation. Instead of splashing water on the surface where the hot sun will evaporate it, a plastic bottle with tiny holes is buried next to the plant. The water slowly drips out directly into the root zone, exactly where the plant needs it most. To keep that moisture locked in, the farmer adds a thick layer of dry grass and leaves over the topsoil. This cover acts like a protective blanket, shielding the roots from the baking sun and trapping the water underground. Now, imagine that farm is sitting on a steep hillside. When the harsh dry season ends, it's often followed by heavy, sudden rainstorms. That fast-moving water threatens to wash all the rich, fertile topsoil straight down the hill. To stop this, farmers carve flat, staircase-like steps directly into the slopes. These steps catch the falling rainwater, slowing it down so it soaks into the ground instead of washing the soil away. By managing water drop by drop and keeping the soil locked in place, the farmer turns a small plot into a protected, self-sustaining system. They guarantee a healthy harvest, no matter what the weather does. The exact same challenges apply to raising animals. Livestock need grass and water, and drought destroys both. For centuries, groups have practiced traditional pastoralism. This involves herding local cattle across massive distances, constantly walking to find whatever scarce water and pasture is left. In this older system, status is based entirely on how many animals you own. A farmer with 100 starving cows is considered wealthier than a farmer with 10 healthy ones. This side-by-side diagram highlights the difference with modern commercial ranching. On the left, large herds wander dry, open land, but on the right, the focus shifts away from herd size. Instead, the goal is to produce the highest possible amount of milk and meat from each individual animal. Looking closer at the right side of the diagram, you can see how they do it. The land is divided by fences into green paddocks to control where the animals graze, allowing the grass in other areas to regrow. Dedicated water troughs and regular veterinary care ensure the cows stay strong. A small herd of well-fed, carefully managed cattle produces far more food than a massive, exhausted herd wandering for miles. It is a completely different economic strategy. At the end of the harvest season, the subsistence farmer is often desperate for quick cash to pay school fees or buy supplies. They sell raw crops at the lowest possible price. But the commercial farmer takes one extra step. They pour their harvested yellow maize into a mechanical milling machine, instantly grinding the hard kernels down into a fine white flour. This process is called adding value. By turning a raw ingredient into a finished product, the farmer multiplies the selling price. The flour sells for far more than the loose kernels ever could. There is a persistent myth that farming is a backup plan for people who couldn't find office jobs. In reality, applying science to soil, managing livestock yields, and processing raw materials is a highly technical and profitable business. Capturing rain, shielding soil, and milling grain turns a household struggle into a reliable business. When these practices spread from one village to the next, they create a foundation of food security and income that can withstand a changing climate.